Today, as I film this video, there are millions of children all across the United States who are heading back to school. My name is Bleish. I've been in the Liberty Movement for over 10 years. I used to be involved with the Ron Paul campaign, police accountability activism, got into the sovereignty movement, and now I run the Homestead.Guru, and I am raising 2 amazing children. And I believe that children are our path to liberty in our lifetime. So I thought today would be a really great opportunity to discuss the role of government in education. I, like many of you, was raised most of my childhood in the public school system. For me, it was a very frustrating experience. I had a hard time finding myself challenged enough to stay engaged and to actually pay attention. I did really well on my standardized tests, really well, freakishly well, but there was no place for me in public school to actually learn what I was capable of learning. I believe this is true for many students. We all learn very differently. All of our learning styles are unique and individualized. But the public school system does not cater to uniqueness. It expects students to be the same, to receive the same types of learning in the same types of learning environments. But when you look around in nature and the world that we actually exist in, it's diverse. There is uniqueness everywhere. There is not a monochrome world. It's full of all different types of learning and engagement. And I believe that when schooling became compulsory and became managed by government, that it began to become monochrome, and children were expected to follow suit. So I want to talk about some very specific reasons that I believe government should not be involved in education. First and foremost, if we're speaking about the law, legally, constitutionally, there is no role for government in education, especially the federal government. There is zero constitutional reference to education. So our government, the United States government, should not be involved in educating our youth. In 1979, the Department of Education was created. And right now, their budget is $70 billion per year. It goes up to over $100 billion per year when you include programs like Head Start. So this is my second point. Not only is it unconstitutional, but it is really expensive. This is just the Department of Education. That's not even the cost for an actual school. That's the cost for the administration of education by the federal government. It's unconstitutional and it's expensive. It's also a failed experiment. The United States does not rank very high academically. I wrote down some statistics here. We're ranked 24th in science, this is 2017 statistics, 39th in math, and 34 in reading. With all the money that we are funneling into education at the federal and the state level and the city level, how and why is this the case? If what we are doing is so good for children, shouldn't more money allow us to increase our rankings globally? No, because the model itself is not working. It is a failed experiment. Sending children through an assembly line education system, a one-size-fits-all model, it didn't work for me. I was unable to be challenged enough in my education to really feel like I was learning what I was capable of learning, one-size-fits-all model does not work, and the statistics are proving that. And my personal experience proved that as well. Not only is it unconstitutional, not only is it expensive, not only is it a failed experiment, but let's talk about philosophy here for a moment. Don't parents and children have a right as sovereign human beings, born in this world as free individuals? Don't they have a right to decide what is being put into their heads and how? Because right now, in the United States, we're experiencing things like Common Core, where children are taught incredibly complicated ways of doing math, ways that I couldn't figure out as an adult. Our children are not being taught in accordance with natural living or natural law, or what it's really like to be in our society. Not to mention the dogmas and personal philosophies of teachers. It trickles down into our children, and they are exposed to things that I don't believe children need to be exposed to right now. The role of government should not be to teach children. That is the role of parents and community. I'm not saying children don't need to learn or they don't need to go to school. I'm saying that this top-down, institutionalized, federally funded model, it's unethical, it's unconstitutional, and it's not working. There are plenty of options out there that do work. These options include private schooling, homeschooling, unschooling. You can go to education co-ops. There's so many ways, so many different models for children to be exposed to learning. In fact, just living our life is an excellent time to learn. Children are sent into school at a very young age now. At a young age that I don't believe children should be away from their parents if it can be helped. They're being shaped and molded and modeled by the state. So eventually it makes sense that they become cogs in the wheels of the machine, of the institution of government, whether they're working to pay taxes or actually work for the government or live off the government itself. This is all they know. Segregated by age, that does not happen in the real world. I'm not around very many 34-year-olds, quite frankly. I have friends that are older than me in general, and a lot of children are in my life because I'm involved in the unschool movement. But my life is full of a rich diversity of age groups that I'm exposed to, and I think this is important for children as well. When you're exposed to a variety of age groups, you're given the opportunity to learn from the wisdom of others, and you're given the opportunity to teach. And this is how we learn the best. In public school, you have teachers who went from high school to college to teaching young children. Where's the life experience? Where is the wisdom? I don't believe it is present in most public school settings. I know it's something that I began to seek as an adult because I realized my whole upbringing, I wasn't given that type of wisdom through my teachers. It's these crazy liberty people I'm running into all over the world that have the wisdom and the experience of living life to its fullest. So when we're talking about going back to school this week, this month, I think it's really important that we are questioning the role of government in education. It doesn't make sense for me when I was growing up as a child. It doesn't make sense for me as a parent. And I don't think it makes sense for our society at whole. Our children and our families deserve better. We don't need to be sent away to be babysat by the state 7, 8 hours a day. How much of that is actually spent learning? I believe that most of it is spent being trained to sit and stand in line, to raise your hand, to ask permission to go to the bathroom, and to really learn to be subservient to authority. That's not true education. That's obedience. And in a free society, we do not want obedient people. We want people who are willing to question authority and who have the mental capacity and faculties to learn for themselves, because that is where education and innovation come from. When we suck the joy out of learning and we make it an awful experience for children, they are robbed of their truest potential. Thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe to FFF.org, the Future of Freedom Foundation, for more videos like this from myself and others.